Delighted to be able to introduce Christy Berghoef to you because I know her, and it's a treat to be able to have her teach for HASP. Christy is a graduate of Calvin University and Calvin Theological Seminary. She has a degree very recently from Western Theological Seminary, Doctor of Ministry in Sacred Writing. And she is a musician and church planter with her husband, and I think a bunch of other things, a teacher of civil dialogue. And we are delighted to have you today. Oh, and we share the same publisher and publicist.
Yep.
So anyway, welcome, Christy. Glad to have you.
Thank you. Well, I'm so excited to be back here with you. I had such a great time last week and really appreciated all the thoughtful engagement from you all. I don't have as much built-in engagement into today's presentation, but I do want to say if you at any point have a question or just a thought you want to share or just something bubbles up in you that you need to get out, feel free to raise your hand. We'll come around with a mic. Because I know there's a lot of richness in this room to contribute today. Well, we're going to start, if I can figure out my tech stuff, with a book trailer. This is one of the book trailers for Rooted, and it kind of gets us into the theme of what we're going to be talking about today. The world can be a cruel, chaotic place. Toxic tribalism, selfish ambition, dehumanization. Every person out for themselves at the expense of the common good. When the things of this world feel sad and weighty, when the very skin of the earth is stretched thin and bustling with more unkind and destructive activity than it was ever designed to carry, I wander the back 40, where green things grow. As my eyes scan this remarkable, ordinary earthscape, I feel held, cradled in the soft arms of Mother Earth. She accepts my body and receives my fears and my tears without question, without unfair judgment. We live in a world that is constantly clamoring and reaching and spouting and shouting and grabbing for all the things we are told to want, but that we do not need. I settle in the grass with my hands and arms open, ready to let go, ready to receive, ready to exhale hopelessness and embrace the possibilities for a better way of being, possibilities that I see expressed everywhere upon this marvelous planet. When life's cruelties and disappointments exhaust me, I get inside some patch of earthy aliveness, and that earthy aliveness gets itself inside of me, and I become in every sense rooted. So that's a bit of what we're going to be getting into today. I want to talk about, for me, what the earth has been for me, the way that it has been a shelter, the way that it has been a teacher, the way that it has given me respite and reveals hope when sometimes the world doesn't seem to be giving any. There's a couple things that some distinctions I want to make, and this comes up in my book. I just explain it in my introduction, and I talk about it a lot in my writing, in my Substack. I try to live with this, but I want to talk about just the difference between the earth and the world. When I'm talking about the earth, I'm referring to kind of the natural planet, the planet before we came in and tried to organize it and create systems and all of that. And then when I refer to the world, I'm talking about what we humans have done. So the systems we've created, which are sometimes lopsided, sometimes really helpful and important and beneficial, sometimes create injustice and hardship. So that's what I'm talking about when I say earth and world, and it might come up in this today as we're going through this. The Great Reverend Mother Earth. So one of the things that, one of the chapters in here, I talk about how I go to the earth when I need hope. I go to the earth when I need wisdom, because the earth is showing us, I believe, how we as people ought to be living together in community, the community of the earth. So I'm going to read for you part of the book here. One warm summer evening, I head out barefoot, feeling the weight of the off-kilter world. A study had been released that day indicating that the climate is heating at a pace quicker than anticipated and will likely reach a point of no return in my lifetime. We're all connected as part of the divine design: field, stream, boreal forest, white-tailed deer, song sparrow, earthworm, soil, sand, air, human beings. There's a delicate balance between all things, but human greed, human activity, and human carelessness have upset that balance. Through drought and famine, those living in poverty are experiencing the worst of it. Extreme weather patterns are already wreaking havoc. There has always been extreme weather and catastrophes, but the frequency and intensities of these events is on the rise. I wander out to a great open space on the back 40 to confess and surrender my sadness to the clover that lifts its lavender heads across the alfalfa fields. We're in this together, you and I say, with my eyes as I lie down and rest my arms at my side. A simple, stunning, serene landscape of purple puffs gathers in clumps across an ocean of emerald. This ethereal scene is surrounded by what looks like a ballet of willow trees, swishing and swooping their skirts in the breeze at the perimeters of the field. As I settle in the grass, cloud wisps swim in the blue overhead. I lie with my hands and arms open, ready to let go, ready to receive, ready to exhale hopelessness and embrace the possibilities I see everywhere upon the earth. The tiny lavender spheres bend and rise like monks before an altar. They bow and worship, and I cannot take my eyes off them. Such delicate little puffs, forces of beauty thriving in small communities with honeybees and tiger swallowtails fluttering between them. As my eyes scan the remarkable earthscape, I feel held, cradled in the warm arms of Mother Earth. She accepts my body and receives my tears without question. She sees and knows what is happening across the surface of her own flesh. Wars tear into her. Unfettered consumption scrapes and gouges her, and then fills garbage heaps that seep poison into her. The engines of progress cough chug and churn without taking into account the slow killing of everything. She preaches the great Reverend Mother Earth. But the world turns its ears away from her wisdom because we're too busy listening to the swell of our own puffed up voices, our own theories, our own doctrines, our own ideas. Consider the lilies of the field, a great teacher once said. But who has time for that? It would require that we sit still and keep quiet. It would necessitate that we stop clamoring and reaching and shouting and spouting and grabbing all the things we're told to want but do not need. Excuse me. She shows us exactly what we need, demonstrates how we ought to live, preaches timeless truths, and dazzles with ever unfolding mysteries. Her existence inspires deep awe and wonder. The more distant we become from the earth, the more we view her as a thing to be exploited. The more we normalize her exploitation, the more we laugh at the wisdom she has to teach us. I've become breathless as I consider my own smallness upon the earth, my own fragile state, and the temporal reality of my existence. I'm just a speck, birthed out of a chance encounter between a microscopic sperm and egg, briefly pulsing with life before being whisked off to some unpredictable fashion to whatever comes next. I consider the earth just a speck swirling around the sun. I consider the solar system just a speck among countless other solar systems in the galaxy. Our galaxy is just one of an endless number of galaxies. I feel my smallness here. I am indeed dust. What can one little speck of dust do? I recall a teacher in my Christian school having Proverbs 1 verse 7 written on her pushpin bulletin board. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. This verse always scared me. Was I afraid enough of God? Could I know God if I wasn't afraid? In seminary, I came to understand that the word fear here is more accurately translated as awe. Awe, wonder, awesomeness. Unlike fear, this was a concept I could understand. Awe of the Creator was easy to feel. I experienced it often, laying under a night sky smeared with the Milky Way and a million stars piercing the darkness, or gazing upon a blue sky with cotton white clouds swirling through it. Wonder came naturally as I strolled a winding path in a forest of hardwoods, or stood at a pond watching water bugs whirl and dive with speed and grace. Awe of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise this wisdom and instruction. We are in danger of becoming fools when we fail to sit in awe and wonder of this created world. My lifetime, whether long or short by human standards, will hardly be a millisecond in the billions of years the universe has been in motion. Human existence itself is but one whiff in the history of our planet. It's said that if the earth was formed at midnight and the present moment is the next midnight, humans have been around since 11:59 p.m. 1 second. My body trembles as I reflect on what I will do with my one little life. Will I leave my part of the earth better or worse than it was before I came to it? Will my engagement with the world contribute to wholeness or fracture? Will I create chaos or shalom? Will I use my millisecond to chase after riches or to join hands with others who seek to better the world? Will I lift up the low places and promote communities that love peace and pursue justice? Will I live with open hands or clenched fists? Will I walk lightly on the earth or frantically scoop out as much as I can for my pleasure? Will I leave puncture wounds that contribute to human struggle long after I'm gone? One little life, so much potential to shape the moment it's in, for better or worse. Can I gather this earth inside myself and take it with me as I walk in the world? This earth my source of life, light, and hope, my assurance and resting place where I experience God's deep love and wisdom. The earth that is of me and within me settles me when the world makes me anxious. Can I maintain a closeness to Mother Earth, never forgetting her face, never forgetting what she needs, always remembering her wisdom? The awe of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. I arch the small of my back and stretch out my arms, brushing my fingertips across the soft clover heads, and consider the possibility that if the whole world would stop every now and then and lie down on some patch of ground, it could inspire enough energy to change the world. This becomes my wish for the world. This becomes my lavender dream. I pinch off a clover blossom, run its softness over the curve of my cheek, down the bridge of my nose, and bring it to my lips, sucking the sweet nectar from its petals. Swallows swoop and dive around me as this dream swells up and begins flowing from my lips. My lavender dream is a prayer, and I hear myself singing it. Losing all sense of time, I continue in fervent petition as the air turns smoky gold and drizzles across the western horizon. A sliver of moon is already suspended in the sky as I make my way across the field in the encroaching blackness. I move toward the lights of home, and I feel full of holy, earthy aliveness. It has seeped into my skin, my bones, and my tendons. It pumps through my heart and winds its way through the neurons of my brain. It ignites and sharpens my eyes to see the realities of the world around me, to see what we are doing to the earth and its inhabitants, to know there is a better way and to work towards that. I remember that I am part of all this too, the hard and the holy, the severe and the sacred. So I have found it to be really important in my life to have 1 foot in the earth and 1 foot in the world at all times, if possible. There was a time in my life where I threw myself into the world, into the work of bringing justice to unjust systems, into the work of caring for any person of need that I saw. And I became utterly burned out because the weight of all of the hard things in the world does impact you. And then I would swing over and jump all the way into the earth and immerse myself in the beauty and the loveliness and try not to think about the world. But the beauty and the wonderfulness of the earth ceases to be amazing when you know what people are suffering under. So I can only stay there for so long. And I was doing this back and forth until I finally started to discover I should have 1 foot in each world at all time, being aware of what's going on, being aware of injustice, and being inspired by what the earth can teach us in order to help heal the world. So that's a bit really touches on what a lot of my writing is about. In this book, on my Substack, which you have all of that information on the card that was handed to you. So these are all introductory comments to what we're getting into. So Wheat and Willow is the name of my Substack, and I do a lot of writing here a couple times a week. And the reason I've chosen to call it Wheat and Willow is because wheat has long been this symbol of abundance and sustenance and kind of nourishment for the body and for the soul. It reminds us of our interdependence and our shared need for balance with the earth and for one another. And then willow is a sign of resilience. So the willow tree, you can pretty much stick in anywhere in any kind of ground, no matter how dry, no matter how wet. And a willow tree, just sticking a twig in the ground will grow roots and sprout and rise up. And so there's a resilienceness to the willow tree that I love. So the whole purpose of the Wheat and Willow is to say, this is the kind of community we should aspire to, that I hope we aspire to. And if we keep working at it, if we're resilient at it, even if we don't see the results ourselves, someday maybe something will come up, but to keep at it. So nature can teach us, as I've talked about a little bit here, but also nature can promote health and wellness, being in nature, being exposed to nature. So there's been numerous studies that have revealed that as we become more and more attached to our screens, especially young people today, we're seeing mental illness on the rise. We're seeing unhealthiness on the rise. And so it's becoming, there's numerous studies have showed that as we disconnect from the earth, we're seeing the impact in our overall health and well-being. And, we're just not outside the way we used to be. We used to be very connected to the earth. I look at my grandparents, they grew all their own food. They hunted their meat. They were very connected to everything. And today it's just a very different landscape. So I'm just curious, this is just kind of throw some answers out there, but what kinds of outdoor places nourish you? Are there certain places, specific spots you've been that have just re-energized you or given you a sense of clarity? And how many of you get out on a regular basis? Is that something you make sure to do, that you work to incorporate into your day? Share with me, what are some of your thoughts? And Doug has the mic, so raise your hand if you have a thought.
I don't know where to begin with outdoor places that nourish me, but you're so right. Certainly during the pandemic, we found a nature hike that we took almost every day. The little hemlock crossings. I don't know if any of you have done it, but we know it so well, and yet every time it's just such a gift to just walk along that little piece of nature and get refilled. Acadia National Park does it for me. Those are big journeys, or Rocky Mountains, all those places that get you closer to feeling your insignificance in the big scope of things. And yet, like you say, you're filled with awe for the beauty of earth and the holiness of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Those are beautiful places. Other thoughts?
We moved to Holland 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We looked at a lot of condos. And condos this is the first time we've lived in a common situation where we didn't own our own home. I've always had my own garden. It was going to be really difficult not to have access to that. And then we looked. Y'all probably know Sue Bolander, who was a member of HASP, and she was selling her condo. And we looked at it once, and I said, oh, this condo has a garden. In fact, it has 2 gardens. They're not big, but there's one in the front and one in the back. And then we walked away. We thought, this isn't big enough. We need a bigger place. Then we looked at a bunch more condos, and it was that garden. We came back, we did the basement to make it bigger so it would be okay. But that garden, that's right there. Because there's all the trips in the world, but we go on less and less trips. And here I am, I got a basketball for a foot today. I tripped and sprained my ankle. Sometimes you just can't go. But you need access someplace nearby where you can get outside and spend that hour. That's all you need, half an hour. Just pull some weeds or deadhead, whatever, anything. Just to be outdoors for a while at a place it's not difficult to get to. I love big trips. They're wonderful, but they're rare.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
I walk the dog every morning early when nobody's really up, especially on the weekend. And I don't listen to a book. I don't look at my phone, and that's my rooted time.
That's beautiful. I love that. Thanks for sharing.
I retired in was it 2015-ish? And it was kind of a forced retirement, but I thought, well, this must be the next step of what's going to happen. And I lived by myself. My children were out in the world and succeeding. And I thought, what am I going to do with myself? I don't see myself going into another job necessarily. I had things to help me, but of course, we all know that the economy changed a lot with good things that you could buy for houses and properties you could get. And so I had gotten myself in a little more on that. And I thought, what am I going to do? I'm by myself. I had been divorced for some time and the kids were on their own, but they weren't in the neighborhood. They were a little far away. And I put out a strike to my large family and said, hey, anybody got any ideas? And the only one that related to me was my sister from Holland. And she said, well, you know how you loved Holland. Why don't you come up and see what you can do up here? And so she got me here. But since that time, I'm now finding that the fact that I'm aging is more magnified to those around me and family and so forth than being an independent woman, doing my thing and succeeding. And it's closing me down a little bit, but I'm still fighting because I still got a breath in me. I have a brain and I like to use them. And
That's great.
Holland's certainly helped me.
Yeah, Holland is a beautiful place. There's lots of green spaces. The water, of course, being nearby. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like coming back home because I was born here. It had been gone for some long time, but I brought back here and it's welcomed me back warmly.
Mm. Great. Thanks for sharing that. Anyone else? Any other thoughts? I do think it's interesting that more and more schools for elementary schools now are starting to have these outdoor education programs, which I think is wonderful. This effort to reconnect people to the earth, kids, getting them in these habits, teaching them to love it and appreciate it and cherish it from a young age. So I find that really encouraging. Well, I just want to move into some of the benefits that we see of nature. So the first one I want to talk about is the mental health benefits of being in nature. And these are all based on numerous studies that have been done. The first thing is this is just being in nature, and 20 minutes a day shows improvements across all these areas, just 20 minutes. The first thing is it reduces stress and anxiety. So being outside actually reduces your cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone that can flood our bodies and our systems. It can reduce muscle tension. Just being in nature, it reduces and lowers heart rate and blood pressure. Being in nature leads to lower rates of heart disease. And again, just 20 minutes a day decreases these stress markers in our bodies. The second one improves focus and mental clarity. There's a theory called attention restoration theory. And essentially it shows that when we're in nature more, our ability to hold our attention becomes sharper, becomes clearer. We have improved focus, our cognitive functions are improved. We have reduced mental fatigue, and the overstimulation that we get from life begins to kind of fade away and fall away. So these are just being outside 20 minutes a day. And again, this is one of the reasons why a lot of outdoor education programs are being implemented now. They're seeing these benefits and they want to get kids out at a young age, especially when their brains are being formed. And they're, these kids are typically on their devices, many, many hours a day. Now, I don't even know what the latest number is, but it's pretty sad. And then number 3, it boosts our mood. Green spaces are linked to reduced depression, and they promote feelings of calm and peace and joy. So again, just 20 minutes a day. And if you've ever been, I know for me, especially in the middle of winter, when you get those winter blues and you think, oh, Michigan, and it's this hard, long, dark time of the year, just pushing yourself to get outside for 20 minutes, even if you're not walking, if it's icy, whatever, just sitting outside for 20 minutes can significantly improve your mental health. There was a study that was done where participants were asked to walk in a park versus walk in an urban setting. And this is also interesting. Walking down a sidewalk surrounded by buildings did not have the impacts that being in a green space did. So if you can find access to a green space, 20 minutes a day, it can really make a difference. And also we have physical benefits of nature. Often when people are outside, they're walking or they're hiking or they're biking or they're gardening, as was mentioned. And so this leads to physical activity. And the second thing is being outside boosts your immune function. And there's some really fascinating research on this, particularly being around trees. Trees release a chemical called phytoncides. It's a really tough word. And so we actually absorb those when we're out. The trees are releasing them. Our bodies absorb them. And it improves our immune response. So we get sick less when we're around trees. Nature reduces heart rate variability. And also nature supports deep rest, to number 3. Regular exposure leads to better sleep. When you're outside every day, again, about 20 minutes a day can make a huge difference in how you sleep at night. It helps regulate your body. It also improves cardiovascular and metabolic health. So inflammation is reduced, and inflammation we know in the body causes all kinds of issues, physical issues. And so being outside actually reduces inflammation, and it improves your insulin sensitivity. And also it's interesting, I don't have this on the list, but one of the also benefits of walking a nature trail or even walking across your lawn, and this will get harder as you age, no doubt, but it improves your muscle ability and your balance and all of that, because your body, even with slight differences, walking versus walking on the pavement where it's flat, but your body just adjusts to these micro levels of imbalance, and all of that strengthens your body and your muscles. Those are some of the physical benefits. And then emotional health. Time in nature calms the nervous system, and it helps us process emotions. And you mentioned going out without your earbuds, with no sound and the silence. I do that a lot because it really helps me. I'm thinking very deeply about myself, about the world. I think I get more clarity about the world when I'm walking in silence versus, having a podcast on that's maybe telling me that the world is really falling apart and, this is so bad and awful. I'm just reminded of the openness of everything, and it opens me up inside. It can also reduce or increase feelings of awe and gratitude, because again, being in nature reminds us of our smallness. It's been shown to reduce self-centeredness and even increase generosity. So 20 minutes a day, get outside, 20 minutes a day. Number 3, it supports healing from trauma and grief. And this is much of what I experienced when I came home, and why, I think yet last week I talked about coming home and really finding home in the earth and finding that to be a safe place, a safe space. Because nature offers a safe, nonverbal space to feel and to reflect. This is a big part of my story. Number 4, it encourages mindfulness and presence. Being in nature just naturally slows us down, so we aren't caught up in the constant hustle and bustle that can overwhelm us and that can easily diminish our health. And so all of these, these are all of just the mental, emotional, physical benefits of just being in nature, just 20 minutes a day. So if you work that into your routine, I think you'll see improvements. So now I want us to think, I think you all have a paper and a pencil. I want you to just think of a time, we talked a little bit about this, but that you felt especially calm, connected, or inspired in nature. And think about, where were you at that time? What could you see? What did you hear or smell? How did your body feel in that moment? Take some time. Think of a space. We did an exercise last week with the 5 senses. Think about the senses, how they experience the space. And then we will discuss and share. Okay. Is anyone willing to share what they wrote or share something about this place or this space?
A place that I go, when something, tragic happens, like a death or something, is Lake Michigan and Saugatuck.
Hmm.
It's the waves, the wind, the birds, the sand, and the scent of the lake that calms my soul. I
Hmm.
feel relaxed, calm, and restored, and hopeful.
Yeah, that's beautiful. A wide open space like that with all those sounds and can really be a space like that. Really healing and yeah. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else willing to share?
I'm very blessed to have a place on Lake Michigan.
Hmm.
And just yesterday, normally my favorite time of the day is late afternoon when the sun is sparkling on the water, and I just love that time. But yesterday, we have a hammock, quite a sturdy hammock. And I laid down crosswise and instead of laying the way you're supposed to, looking back up into the canopy of trees and just laying there looking at the sky, the blue sky, the green trees. They were just swaying, rustling, and it was just the most peaceful feeling I have had in a long time.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
just what you're saying today just brings that home.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's beautiful. Thanks for sharing. Yeah.
We moved 5 years ago to downtown Holland. We live at the Warm Friend. And so we have 1 foot in the world, but we're close to the earth. And when I take a walk, sometimes I wander over to Centennial Park. And it's there when I see flowers, the color of the flowers, the smell of moist earth with freshly watered flowers, the quietness. I can hear traffic, but it's a long ways away. It's relaxed. It's free. It's unhurried. It's pleasant. It's healing to be out of the world into the earth.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. Sounds like good balance.
I really always mean not to talk, but I have a hard time with that. But this brought a vision to my mind, and if I can take a minute, since we seem to not have
Yeah,
too many people want to talk. We used to live in a little town, very small town in Wisconsin. We lived there for 10 years, called Horicon. And Horicon has a big federal and state wildlife refuge.
Hmm.
And we were about a block from that. And it was spectacular. It wasn't much for social life. If you're looking for social life, Holland is way better. But Horicon, if you want bird life, it's
Mm.
marvelous. And we developed a route that went out into the country and around, and we'd come down through the marsh. And one year it was a lot like this. And if you got out early in the morning, it was very dry.
Mm.
And all the water was concentrating into some smaller areas. And if you came down through the marsh early enough, we would see what we called the white bird convention. And it would be pelicans and egrets, and it was just spectacular. And the
Mm.
light would be beautiful. And it's a memory that just stays in your mind
Yeah.
for the rest of your life. And I hadn't thought of it for a while. And I'm in a poetry group with Cindy, and I'm going to write a poem about it.
Great.
Yes, I am.
Great. Will you send that to me? I would love to read it when you're done. Yeah, a place can really get inside you, and then you can take that with you out into the world, which I think is beautiful and amazing. And
When I moved here, we had to find me a place to live. And we did find it. It had been kind of sold already. But we thought, well, maybe they're just gonna redo it, and maybe we can bid up, offer them another price so we could get it, which happened. And remodeling, my sister was a wonder woman of remodeling. And we did a real dynamic change to the property. And there was one plant that came up, and I said, I wonder where that came from. It was near the front entrance to my house. It came up every year. I never knew where it came from or what it was, but it just came up every year. And I had to greet it and say, you're welcoming me. So
that's beautiful. Thank you.
There's several specific places, but it's always on the shoreline, whether it's here in Lake Michigan, or it's down in Florida, or it's out in Virginia, any of the places. The thing that always gets me is when you stand right on the edge of the water and the water starts pulling the sand underneath you out. So you start sinking in, and you almost feel like you're being planted into that moment. If you don't step out, it keeps it keeps pulling you down. But those are the moments that provide quiet and calm and clarity. And I can hear in through the waves the things that I feel that I'm supposed to be hearing, because everything else quiets
Oh, I love it.
in that moment. But talk about feeling planted. I get planted into that sand, and it's a strong thing.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for sharing that. There is something about water. That theme comes up a lot last week too. There's something about water that has a powerful presence.
This is kind of a mixed metaphor, but I'm remembering a lot of stuff as a kid. And although I enjoyed the woods and the smell of the fall time and leaves burning, or the winter time when everyone else was inside and you owned the world, thank you very much, you're by yourself outside. I was privileged to grow up on Lake Macatawa as a kid, and so that was our backyard. And I always knew Pine Creek Bay was north. I knew that the Big Lake was to the west. I knew the sun came up in the east, and sorry, Allegan County, but whatever was left was south. And so I had that in my head as a construct, as cardinal coordinates. And in my 35 years in the military, no matter where I was, I could remember Lake Mac, and I could orient myself to the map and knew what north was, and I could figure out where I was relative to Turkey or other places in the world, or Alaska or whatever.
Thanks for sharing that. Oh, that's really interesting.
Usually my nature place is the woods, the forest, the mountains, but I had an opportunity last summer. A girlfriend and I took a trip to Santa Fe, the Taos area. It was supposed to be a spiritual little journey. We went to some churches and ashrams, but I'm not usually a desert person. And so I found it very interesting when we hiked up on the outskirts of Taos, how much life was teeming in the area. And one of the things that I wrote that, there were no human sounds. I just heard the trees, I heard the insects, but I could feel most of my tensions, usually in my shoulders. I could feel my shoulders drop, and my feet felt, to those words, firmly planted. I just felt really tethered to the earth. And yet there was this expansiveness about the view and about the desert that really struck me.
Yeah. A waterless place, but also just such an incredibly open, beautiful kind of landscape. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I remember a whole lot of areas. I
in the past, you know, like scuba diving in the Caribbean and just a serene view of all the coral and fish and watching all that and feeling really relaxed and floating. I mean, a number of other things come into mind too, whether it was sailing, you know, without a power boat on the water many times and hiking national parks. And then I think now, wow, I'm spending more time at a gym here. And then you put on the TV screen over there on Nature Path and stuff. It says, wow, that's kind of counterproductive, not as good.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's okay for the coordinator to speak. I am an indoorsman, I confess. I don't hunt or fish, so I'm a terrible disappointment to my brother-in-law, but I do like to walk. And sometimes I like to walk long distances. And as I think you know, I walked last fall from Porto to Santiago de Compostela.
Yeah.
Mostly by myself, no podcasts, except for one day it rained, and I discovered that water repellent doesn't mean you don't get wet. I had all the right gear, and I was not really cursing, but I was not happy about being wet. And then this is what I'm leading up to. The rain went away, and there was a rainbow like I've never seen before. Just gorgeous, and it just lingered in the sky. And I had someone take my photograph under this magnificent rainbow, and I think it was a transforming event. I might become an outdoorsman now.
Hey, yeah, right. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else have thoughts?
Oh. Our room in our apartment is on the top floor. All our windows face west, and I'm inside, but I just so look forward to all the sunsets. And I can tell by my mood too, you know, I have to every night, sometimes I even set my Alexa to say, you know, tell me, alarm me when that's the sunset's coming. But I
Oh,
always look forward to that and watching that. And even though I'm inside, I can do that in
Yeah.
my room. But
yeah,
I really enjoy that.
yeah, that's beautiful. Thanks for sharing. That's a good idea to have Alexa remind you.
Yes.
To look at the sunset.
You know,
That's a great idea. And to your point, there is also a lot of research saying that even looking at pictures of nature does have an impact on you and your mental state. So, anyone else? Well, I'll share a little bit about one of my spaces. Last week I talked about how we came home, moved to the country. We live on a little acre that's cut off of my parents' 40-acre flower farm. And our house is 900 square feet. It's a very small house, family of 6. And so there were some really tough years, one tiny bathroom when we had 4 teenagers. And we started just feeling like, oh, we need more space, we need more rooms. Let's make some outdoor rooms. And so my daughter and I had read The Secret Garden and had this great idea. This is all discussed in my book, the craziness of my plans, but to create these massive outdoor rooms divided by tall hedges. And so we created these outdoor spaces, kind of a living room area, dining room area, kitchen garden, a fire pit room. And then as the world seemed to spiral a little bit, I found myself continually going and adding spaces, adding rooms. Now I've got a contemplative treehouse. Well, now I'm going to add a pollinator garden. Now I'm going to add a large vegetable garden. Now I need a meditation platform. Now I'm going to get some chickens and build a hen house. And so I just, my husband ran for Congress back in 2020. And that was a time where the garden grew and grew and grew, as you can imagine. Things were very, very hard for our family at that time. We had to move out a few times because of threats to our family. There was a lot of drive-by incidents at our house. We had online spaces, there were grown men joking about raping myself and my then 11-year-old daughter. It got very, very hard. And I found myself continually driven to the garden. I had this deep need to plant and drop seeds and just pray they come up, and they do, they always come up. And so it became this tremendous balance for me between what I was experiencing in the world, needing to know that things grow, that beauty is there, that I can help cultivate it despite what I'm experiencing in the world. And so here's just a few pictures. I thought I'll share a few pictures from the secret garden and kind of what it's become. Lots of little spaces and nooks and crannies and oh yes, everything. I built everything in the garden, and the furniture is built from pallets that I found along the road. So yeah, lots of little rooms and nooks and spaces. And everyone thought I was crazy at first because I ordered a bunch of little bare root shrubs. So they're this tall and they look like dead twigs, plotted everything out, stuck them in the ground, and everyone's like, what is this? And I kept saying, trust me, I have a plan. They'll grow. That's my meditation platform with a greenhouse behind. That's a pollinator area. Fire pit. So seating area. Here's looking from the dining room. That is not a working facility. It's a tool shed now. So yeah. Oh, thanks. Lots of little areas. This is the I built the hen house because I wanted to have some hens for some fresh eggs. And as an afterthought, I tacked on a little front porch. I thought, oh, this thing needs a front porch. So I tacked on a front porch, and it's become my every evening. This is where I sit because it overlooks all the gardens and it's in the shade. It's become my favorite spot. I had no idea. But yeah, that's larkspur. There's a whole field of it right next to adjacent to our house. Yeah. And one of my girls. And St. Francis. He's in the pollinator garden. He welcomes all the creatures to come and partake. These days he's praying for rain, I think. So, yeah. Oh, thank you. So just here are some practical tools for nature connection. To get your little micro doses, your little 20 minutes in, daily 10-minute walk or 20 in a nearby green space. All of this is easier than you think. Sometimes I know, at least for myself, again, especially in the winter, it's easy to just feel like, I don't have the energy to go out, but going out, it makes such a difference. Create a sit spot and visit that same spot regularly. That would be my hen house porch, for example. Something like that. Add natural elements to indoor spaces. Having green in a house can have a lot of benefits as well. Unplug outdoors. Yeah, go tech-free. Sit outside on a lunch break without your device, go out and leave your phone behind. Spend time near water. Water has the sound of water. It's been mentioned here again today, but just the sound of water, the freshness of water really impacts you in a positive way. And then join a local outdoor group or a nature walk. There are different groups around here, I believe, that you can be part of, that where you have a team of people holding you accountable to, come on, let's go, let's get outside. And have images of nature in your house. We mentioned that as well, that just even pictures of nature can have some helpful benefits. So I want to read now another chapter from Rooted. This kind of ties up what we've been talking about. When the things of this world feel sad and weighty, and the skin of the earth is stretched thin and bustles with more destructive activity than it was ever designed to carry, I wander out back where green things grow. When the wisdom of the world is foolishness, the earth centers me on what is good and right and holy and wise. When life's cruelties and disappointments exhaust me, I get inside some patch of earthy aliveness, and that earthy aliveness gets itself inside of me, and I become in every sense rooted. Quiet wisdom is whispered from the mouth of the earth. I only have to be still enough and quiet enough to be able to hear it. I lie in the field, and the grass lifts its long, slender arms above me, catching its sleeves on the dim current of breeze, bending and swishing, choreographed sashaying. The curves of my body fuse and smolder into the soft curves of the earth, a familiar lover. Cumulus clouds move overhead, heaped like cauliflower on a clear glass platter down a long dinner table. It's a slow, familiar procession across cerulean skies. Morning doves rhythmically lift lilting coos from their throats. Lullabies, sweet songs from the earth. Balm for my wounds and a reminder to keep singing despite everything. I swallow the air and let all the weather, all the seasons, all the sorrow, all the joy, all of nature's fantasia and fury beat fully upon my wide open face. I embrace it, all of it, and it embraces me back. Morning is my favorite time to wander, to wonder. The earth seems freshest in the early hours when the breath of night still lingers in the air and the sky is a romantic smudge of caramel and peonies. At times, I'm certain it's just me and the earth in these very early hours when all things seem possible. In spring, I walk through fields, letting the warm, thick rain lick, roll, and slide down my cheeks. My bare feet squish through spongy fields with nut grass and mud sieving through my toes. Life is breaking through the hard crust of winter. Daffodils, crocus, tulips, forsythia. The orchards match the morning sky as I move down rows of apple, peach, pear, crabapple, cherry, and plum. Dogwood blooms delicate as china ripple in the breeze, while heaps of lilacs make me dizzy with their scent. The earth is refreshed. All things are new. What seemed dead begins to pulse with life rising from the ground. Everything is awakening, and I with it. Summer burns away the heavy rains. I'm bent over the blossoms of summer. The dirt is warm under my feet. The ground pulses through my body. My back aches, legs ache, sweat runs freely, leaving streaks down my sunburned cheeks. I feel wholly unworthy of such noble and difficult work as this. Bent over, I tremble in the presence of all this majesty and miracle. At the end of the hot days, my exhausted body cools off, slipping headlong through the cool satin sheets of the pond. Here I am revived as the residue of the day washes off, and the unpleasant residue of my life seems to get washed away too. As the oak and the sugar maple slowly fade from emerald to crimson, and their leaves float downward caught in the swell and song of autumn breezes, they eventually make a mosaic on the ground. I lie on that holy ground as it spins through space, watching the winnowing trees shed their garments around me. Light filters through colors like stained glass. My back arcs to meet the tumble of leaves, and I inhale the scent of earthy decay. Inhale. Exhale. The forest sheds what is old here, and so do I. Winter comes. Snowflakes float and tumble. Intricate works of art crocheted for only a brief moment. A blessed gift for whoever happens to be paying attention. The brown edges of autumn are buried in these tiny masterpieces. The snowy field becomes an oddly warm bed to lie in as the white sky floats down around me and over me, nibbling at my cheeks with a flirtatious tenderness. The earth is soft and quieted, and I with it. May I learn to embody for the world all that the earth has embodied for me. Here I am rooted. Here where my roots stretch into the earth. Here where the earth's roots stretch up into me. Here I am home. So that's how I'm going to close my time with you. And I'm supposed to leave 20 minutes for questions. So, or thoughts or things you want to share, anything. So, yeah.
My compliments to the photographer of you.
Oh, thank you.
Captured the feeling coming out of you.
Oh,
Really did. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. That was Jennifer Batts. She's a local photographer and a friend of mine. Yeah.
Christy, the earlier part of your presentation seemed to emphasize the concept of smallness. You're small compared with the world, solar system, the galaxy and the universe, and so on. But I think of the Sufi proverb, thinkest thou a puny form when the whole universe is folded within thee.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that aspect of experience is also present. And
Yeah.
if you could comment on it.
Yeah. So I talk about this a little bit in here, not that specific quote, but that sense of feeling so small and feeling so large. Feeling this sense of how one life can impact so much of the world, and also how one life is so small and insignificant in the world. There's these interesting, contrasting sort of senses that I get. In fact, I think, let me see, I think in the early chapter I read, I end one of these chapters with a song that I wrote called Lavender Dream, and I do some singing and stuff too. I should have brought my guitar. I could have sung it for you. But I'll read the lyrics of that. Come lie with me out in the field. The clover's in full bloom, a bed for our wondering. A kiss from the breeze, embraced by the sun, wide open ocean of lavender dreams. And then the chorus, lavender dreams, away from the world, close to the earth and possibility, lavender dream. Spinning through space and rivers of time, clouds drifting over, wafting in blues, Drink in the deep, hushed and alive. Inhale the fragrance of lavender dreams. Lavender dream away from the world, close to the earth and possibility. Lavender dream. Grounded and free, awake to the now, so large and so small, the universe breathes. Back in the world, with eyes full of earth, our minds will awaken to lavender dreams. Lavender dream away from the world, close to the earth and possibility. Lavender dream. Right, so I talk more about just this idea of, yeah, one tiny life is here just like this, not even at the length of a snap, really in the span of everything. So we are so small, and that can give really the sense of humility and this, but then also at the same time, yeah, feeling like what am I going to do with my one life? This one little life, what am I going to do? Because I have the power to make things a little bit better or a little bit worse, in the sphere of place and community that I'm a part of. So it's not quite the same as, what you're talking about, but yeah, this sense of largeness and smallness and everything matters, the way that we behave in the world, which is why I love the closest to the earth and feeling that the earth, excuse me, does show us this balance and does show us how we could be interacting together, the interconnectedness of everything and the mutualism between everything, and how that is so important for us as we engage with the world. But we forget because these selfish desires and ambitions want to just think about ourselves and as if we are the center of things.
I just wondered if you know the poem by Pablo Neruda called Keeping Quiet.
I don't know if I know that one. Do you have it? Can you read it for us?
Well, I looked it up because I kept thinking about it the whole time you were
Mm.
talking, and you'll like it. If I can just get it far enough away from my head so that I can read it here. Go away. Keeping Quiet by Pablo Neruda. Now we will count to 12, and we will all keep still for once on the face of the earth. Let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for a second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would not look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victories with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade, doing nothing. What I want would not be confused with total inactivity. Just went dark. Life is what it is about. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go.
I like that. Thanks for sharing that. It's beautiful.
I have something from the Zoom community. Acknowledging the benefits of nature, do you also see the fears? Lyme disease, poison ivy, E. coli, dangerous animals, bears, moose, cliffs, etc.?
Yes, there's actually a chapter in here about the about some of that. Definitely there's some ugliness in the natural world. There's some hard things. There's some fearful things. Absolutely. Yeah. it does not prevent me from getting out and trying to get a new perspective on those things. But yeah. Yeah. That's part of it too.
Kind of along that point, somebody had mentioned Hemlock earlier, and I have gone there on multiple occasions because one of their staff puts on a nature journaling course. She's actually also taught a couple courses at HASP. But we've done some interesting exercises kind of in response to that Zoom comment, and not just being in nature, but really observing nature and thinking about the connections in nature, and even things that we normally think of as, if you will, negative, bugs, insects, parasites, and what are the relationships to their environment, to us, and the cycle. And it's just really interesting to sit with and think about.
Yeah. Yep. If there's no more, I may have time for to do a quick kind of nature meditation. If we want to close with that, I think we are just have like just enough time. I'm going to, can I use that microphone? I'm actually going to play, this is one off that I created for my Substack. I'm actually going to play that. Okay, so I'm just going to invite you to kind of settle in to this. It's 10-minute long, so.
Let's begin by finding a quiet and comfortable place where you can sit. You may sit in a chair or on the floor, whichever feels most supportive for you. Let your body settle into a comfortable position with your spine upright, shoulders relaxed, and your hands resting on your lap. Gently close your eyes, or keep them soft if that feels better for you. Take a few deep breaths to begin. Inhale slowly through your nose, allowing your belly to expand. Hold for a moment at the top of your breath, and then exhale slowly through your mouth, letting go of any tension. Take a few more deep breaths like this, each one helping you relax deeper into this moment. Now let your breath return to its natural rhythm. No need to force it. Just notice the natural flow of the breath, how it enters and leaves your body. Let your breath be your anchor, something you can always return to when things feel uncertain or chaotic. As you settle into the rhythm of your breathing, begin to turn your attention to the world around you. In this moment, the world may feel full of noise, chaos, distraction, and rushed movement. Your mind might be racing with thoughts, frustrations. Your body tight and tense with restlessness. Or your emotions swirling with the events and news of the day. Instead of resisting or trying to escape these chaotic feelings, allow them to be present. Acknowledge that life can sometimes feel overwhelming. Know that it's okay to feel unsettled. Chaos is part of the human experience, and it's natural to be affected by it. But notice that within this chaos, there is always space to breathe. No matter what's happening around you, your breath remains within your control. The breath is always there, guiding you back to stillness, even if just for a moment. Notice your breath now. Is it shallow or deep? Is it fast or slow? You don't need to change your breath, simply observe it. In this moment, as you breathe, imagine yourself like a tree standing firmly in the middle of a storm. The wind may blow, the branches may bend and sway, but the roots of the tree stay grounded deep in the earth. You are like this tree, anchored and calm, even in the midst of the chaos around you. With each inhale, feel your roots sinking deeper into the ground, feeling steady and secure. With each exhale, feel the chaos of the world move around you, but know that you are strong and unshaken. You are the stillness at the center of the storm. As you continue to breathe, may you notice the sensations of chaos or distraction appearing. These may be thoughts, emotions, or physical sensations. Rather than pushing them away or fighting against them, simply observe them as they are. Notice that just like the storm, they too will pass. They are transient. Bring your awareness back to the breath whenever you feel yourself getting swept away by the chaos. Take a moment to reflect on how you can bring this stillness with you into your daily life. Chaos may come, but you can always have the ability to return to your center. The breath is your anchor. Your awareness is your foundation. Take a few more deep breaths, allowing this sense of calm to settle deeply within you. When you're ready, slowly bring your awareness back to your body. Feel the weight of your body in the chair, on the floor. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch gently if it feels right. When you're ready, open your eyes slowly, bringing this sense of calm with you as you move forward into the rest of your day.
So I think our time is over. I thought that might be a nice way to close it up. Yeah. If you have any questions or anything afterwards, feel free to come up. I do have some of these available if you're interested. So yeah, thank you.